guys, it's Justin from Outlaw Euro. Here we have a E6X M-car subframe, specifically this E63 M6. All right, first we're going to remove the steering and suspension components, tie rod, control arms, sway bar link, starting with sway bar link. It's a 16mm bolt for the sway bar link and a T30 for the middle of it. Now with the sway bar links removed, now we're going to remove the tie rods. Boom. Now let's go to the other side. All right, the outer tie rod nuts are 21mm. All right, now we're going to remove the front control arms. It's 18mm on both sides. Now we're going to remove the rear control arm, 18mm nut, and then the bolt head is also an 18mm. Alright, now that we got the steering and suspension removed, we're going to leave the sway bar attached to the subframe. Same with the power steering rack, but we're going to have to remove the bolt for the steering lines on the bracket here and here. Okay, so now we're gonna prepare to remove the steering shaft. The wheel is straight up and down right now, but you can see the bolt for the shaft is not facing us. So we're gonna rotate the steering wheel so it faces us. Perfect. All right, so I ran the seat belt through the steering wheel and then buckled it in to decrease chances of the steering wheel moving and potentially breaking a clock spring with the steering shaft disconnected. All right, now we're removing the driver's side motor mount bolt. If you see where the extension's going down through there, you have access to the 17mm bolt for the motor mount. And then just put a magnet down to the nut and voila. All right, also while we're topside, we install the engine support bar to help support the motor when we take the subframe out. The S85 has a hook in the front and in the back, and the correct procedure for it's actually to have two of these, but having one on will work. And we're gonna do engine support on the top, and then we're also gonna have a screw jack on the bottom, so we don't need the second support bar. And also, if you like these carbon fiber intakes, we have a link to them in our description. Okay, now we're gonna remove the steering shaft bolt. It's an E11. All right, with the steering shaft bolt removed, we can now remove the shaft. Just a little tap. As long as you have the seat belt through the steering wheel, you don't really need to mark these like traditionally because you've got this plastic collar keeping it indexed. Next, we remove the electrical connector on the rack. All right, there's two power steering lines that go to the rack that you need to remove. The first one here is a 19mm. be ready to catch some fluid. All right, with the first line removed, we can now get to the second line here. The bolt's actually a 22 millimeter, but since that's not a standard wrench, a 7/8 also works. It's a good idea to replace these crush washers. All right, even though we have the engine support bar up top, we're also going to support it at the bottom with this screw jack and block of wood on the transmission. It also helps to support it here when you're doing the rod bearings and need to take the pan off. All right, now we're going to remove the subframe bolts. One here, one up here, and then one back here. And it's the same on the other side for 6 in total, and all of them are 18 millimeter. So we removed 2 from each side and then loosened the middle ones on each side, but still left them threaded to hold the subframe up. This is where it'd be good to have a second person. All right, we got the subframe removed. Now's a good time to replace the motor mounts, or if you need to take the rack out. Installation is pretty much just exactly the opposite of the removal. Some things to know would be replacing the crush washers. The subframe bolts should also be replaced. When you tighten up the control arms, make sure they're as close as you can to get in it to be ride height so you don't put extra stress on the bushings. So here it is, the M6 is back on the ground. Subframe is reinstalled. On this one, we did infinity headers on it. We'd already had it in before and did the rod bearings and Vanos line and everything. So hopefully you guys found this helpful. You can maybe tackle a subframe removal job on your E60 M car. Yeah, smash the like and subscribe button if you want to see more.